Welcome to the Heart and Soul Podcast, a space where words, people, and stories matter. Tonight, we are in the Heart and Soul Food Room, or the Heart and Soul Food Room, depending on how you would like to say it. It's all up to you. It's also known as my kitchen, and I thank you all for joining me here tonight. I also want to thank those who, from last week's podcast, for being there, and then also the people who during the week sent me emails and even notes about how meaningful the conversation about the tapestry of life was. It was very validating to hear from you, and thank you for joining that and being part of it. I'm going to say a quick hi to Colleen. I don't know, we've been busy getting ready, so can you say hi, or are you still busy? There she is. If you haven't met her, that's Colleen, my producer. She's been busy tonight because since we're in the kitchen, we're going to be cooking, and there's some technology that goes with that. So hang in with us tonight, but we'll get there. So tonight we're talking about American Chocolate Week. Who knew, right? Certainly none of us. A group of chocolatiers got together and self-proclaimed this week, and it's not really too known or celebrated, but we're going to celebrate it. And we're going to do it with a lot of fun facts that you may not know about chocolate, conversation about your favorite chocolate or your passions, and then I'm going to teach you how to make my world-famous fudge sauce, and followed by conversation with a young man named Andrew from the Watson's family. He will be with us around 7:40, and we're going to be able to talk to him about one of Western New York's best and most famous chocolatiers, and hear how a family is able to take care of their family for 4 generations by making chocolate. Sounds like something I missed out on. I think that was supposed to be my calling. I'm not sure. But anyway, let's get started. I want to tell you some trivia about chocolate that you may know or may not know, but I was fascinated by it. So the Aztecs and the Mayans used cacao beans, which is how chocolate's made, as currency. Literally, you could buy things with cacao beans. And here's what I really found interesting. For 10 cacao beans, you could buy a rabbit. But if you wanted to do Thanksgiving dinner, you needed 100 cacao beans just for the turkey. They also used chocolate as a drink, only it was very bitter. And so they mixed it with spices, cornmeal, and chili peppers. It wasn't until the drink got to Europe that the Europeans, in their refined taste, added sugar. Chocolate has also been always added to savory dishes, and you may have had some of this in Mexican cuisine. It's used for mole sauces and often combined with chili peppers and spices like it was originally. In the 17 and 1800s, prescribed by doctors, European doctors sometimes recommended chocolate as a health tonic. I know that works for me. Today, cocoa butter. We all use that in pharmaceutical products and medicinal creams because it melts at body temperature, 93 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why chocolate melts so perfectly in your mouth, but holds its shape in your hand, or at least most of the time. But don't tell the M&M people that. Finally, chocolate is used in beauty products. Chocolate and cocoa butter are in lotions, lip balms, facials, body scrubs, and spa treatments. And as we all know, chocolate can improve our mood, right? It contains serotonin and endorphins, which is why we often associate chocolate with comfort and happiness. Then here's my favorite one. I can't imagine any of you will know this. The world's largest chocolate bar weighed over 12,000 pounds. It was created in the UK in 2011 and weighed more than 6 tons, which is about the same as an elephant. Imagine something as big as an elephant that's solid chocolate. It took hundreds of hours to produce and thousands of people to help break it into pieces. What they don't tell us is how long it took them to eat it. In my house, it probably would have been about a week. So anyway, I now have 3 questions for all of us to talk about chocolate. What is your favorite chocolate treat? Do you have a childhood chocolate memory or any childhood chocolate memory? And the most unusual chocolate food you've tried. So I'm going to start us off to kind of give you a chance to digest those questions and come back with your answers. But my favorite chocolate treat, without a doubt, it's a Reese's peanut butter cup. And it's not just any Reese's peanut butter cup. It has to be the small ones because it has just the right proportion of the chocolate edge to bite into that Reese's peanut butter. It's just the perfect proportion for me. You bring me a bag of those and you leave the house and 10 minutes later, they'll be gone. I have absolutely no self-control when it comes to those. My childhood chocolate memory. All right, here we go. My kids are not going to be happy I'm telling this story, but that's okay. When I was a kid, my dad had a platter, a glass platter that sat on the stove when you walked in the door. And he would come home at night and he'd empty his pockets for all his change and he'd leave it there. And I was an only child and both my parents worked. So in the summertime, I was pretty much left to my own devices. So one day I really wanted some chocolate. So I went to my dad's change plate and I took like all of the change off of there. I have no idea how much it was, but in those days you could buy a chocolate bar for a nickel. So I probably had a couple dollars worth of change. And I went to the local grocery, little convenience store in the corner. And I put all my change down on the counter and I bought Hershey bars, just as many as I could buy with that money. And I went home and my parents had a little student desk for me out in our garage where I, sat and played. And so I put all my chocolate in there and kind of hid it away. And later that day, some of my friends started kind of trailing in and visiting. And my parents came home and we were hanging out in the garage after. And I was handing out this chocolate and more kids kept coming down like the news spread through the neighborhood. And my father came out and he said, "Do you know what happened to my change?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, is it not there?" And eventually they put change and chocolate together and figured out that I had taken it and then lied about it to top it all off. And I got grounded for a while. But that is my most memorable chocolate moment as a kid. And the most unusual chocolate I've ever tried, I don't think I have one. I'm sure I had some kind of a chicken something or other that had a Malay sauce on it. And that's probably as adventuresome as I got. So there's my true confessions about chocolates. Anybody else have some they'd like to share? Who's
Christina,
Yeah,
it's Sylvia.
Sylvia. Hi, Sylvia is out in California, everybody. So thanks for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. I threw my ice in the my rice in the oven, and I haven't been drinking, so just to let you know that I
Okay.
threw my rice in the oven and told Steve it's 15 minutes, so he's out there tending the rice. Um, as a child, we didn't get an awful lot of chocolate, but I concur totally with the peanut butter and the chocolate. I love peanut butter cups. But now I've learned how to make Buckeyes. Do you know what Buckeyes are?
I do know what Buckeyes are, but not everybody might. So go ahead and tell us.
Well, it's almost like a peanut butter cup in that it's those two things, chocolate and peanut butter, but the center ends up being almost like smooth, like a truffle would be, very creamy because you put in, wait for it, confectioner sugar, which is so soft. So it's
Right.
a little bit of vanilla in the chocolate. Now you talked about the kind of chocolate you like.
Yep.
Out here, Ghirardelli is the big deal chocolate to buy, and then there's also, if you want to get really pricey. There's my sister likes Scharfenberg, which is German,
Never
and
heard
then
of it.
there's Verona, which is Italian. So, but I just buy the Ghirardelli chips, and they're larger chips, and I put in a bag of dark and a bag of milk cheese
Oh, good. Mix it.
chocolate. So you mix it up and melt it down, and then you make your peanut butter balls, which is just peanut butter and confectioner sugar. Roll those up, and then you dunk them one at a time. You got to put them in the freezer for a bit, and then you dunk them. Oh my goodness, they are just to die for. So
And
I'll
how
send
often do you make these?
only at Christmas.
Because otherwise you'd eat them all the time.
Yes, and I have found out firsthand that they are terrific right out of the freezer. So in
Yeah.
case you are walking by in May and there happens to be any in there, then you can have. But it's a treat at Christmas. And so a recipe makes probably 2 or 3 trays. If you like a cookie tray, stick
Right.
them in the freezer. And so I usually make 2 or 3 batches. And so you end up, but I give them to my neighbors as Christmas.
Sure,
Oh,
Sylvia. Sure. I
That's
will
my
tell you
chocolate.
that I put anything I make that's sweet like that. I do put it in the freezer to try to control how much I eat of it.
Yes,
And so
yes.
most of the time I'm pretty good and I'll pull out a cookie or a couple of bars and I'll leave it on the shelf to, defrost. But
Mhm.
when I'm really wanting something, I'll pull it right out of the freezer and start gnawing on it like it's bad.
Absolutely. Well, this is really bad, and they just you make them about the size of a walnut. I don't want to bite into it. You want to
Right,
be able to put the whole thing in your mouth. If you make them too big, then you've got to bite it in half, and they can crack off.
right,
And
right, right.
I've researched this a huge amount. So,
I hear that. I expect some of your research was also in tasting and eating and then
oh,
deciding.
yes. And I decided that milk chocolate was too sweet,
Mhm.
totally on its own. But then if you put in the semi-sweet and mix that chocolate up, you get a really nice coating. And it called for maple flavoring, but that's not my favorite. So I didn't do
That
that.
sounds weird. Why would you put maple into peanut butter and
I
chocolate?
have no idea. So, and
Okay.
some recipes put in graham cracker crusts, and I don't.
That's
I
kind
don't
of
like.
interesting. See, now I would like that because what I like about Reese's peanut butter cups is that their peanut butter has a little bit of texture. It's got not
It
grit
does.
exactly, but and that's what I like about I like texture. So between the little cups having the thicker chocolate around the edge because they're tiny, and then the peanut butter has a little bit of texture. Yeah,
Yes.
that's it for me.
Well, you could probably use, would be a good idea to put in
Crunchy.
the crunchy peanut butter, right? So
Yeah.
that is the difference between the recipe that puts the graham cracker crust in, graham crackers, or you do them yourself. You roll your graham crackers up in a plastic bag and do your own. And you could leave it a little bit chunkier if you like that, but I like the really creamy.
Smooth.
So
Yeah.
I'm mixing it like crazy. In fact, if your hands bother you, and we've talked about a little bit bent up fingers and stuff, my hands get so sore from stirring it and then making all those balls. And then in the freezer, it's time consuming, but
Yeah.
it's well worth
Christmas cookies, Christmas treats are always a lot of work, but we do
it.
them anyway. All right, how about a
Yeah.
favorite childhood memory about chocolate?
Um, when we would go to my aunt's house in the city, she would always have, the individual wrapped ones. And if she was giving us something, she'd put, a few of those in the, bag. And so those were the really nice treat kinds of things.
Nice.
Or if we'd go downtown to Dole's for dinner, downtown, and if they had anything, we were hoping for pockets because we were trying to get those little wrapped ones that we wouldn't necessarily get at home.
Right.
And as you say, you save them for a time when you really want some chocolate. But those were always extra special.
That's
So,
nice. That's a sweet story. And
yeah.
what about the most unusual chocolate food you've ever eaten?
Uh, I don't know about unusual. I'm not really daring, but I have found this new chocolate cake with a chocolate ganache sauce. It's unusual for me because I've never done that before. It turned out to be really not unusual, very, very special and unique. I'll use that word. It's unique. I've gone to making all my cakes in bundt pans because the
Yep.
bundt pan always comes out, never, ever, ever fails and sticks on the bottom like a carrot cake that your layer does.
Right.
So this is this ganache that you pour over the top. And so I have a chocolate story. Back in 1982, when I was buying the Diet Center in Hamburg, or setting it up, I didn't buy it there, I set it up, a franchise. My best girlfriend from Eden School, she and her husband were buying a chocolate shop. And
Same
it,
time.
it was right up the street
Is it a
from,
codependent thing for the two of you? I mean,
uh, well, and she was shipping me chocolate for Christmas. It was just marvelous. But anyway,
wow.
it was not Park. Let's see, which is the really big famous one up in Williamsville? Is that Park Edge?
No, Parkside is in the city.
Parkside. Okay, theirs was Park Edge, right near Mercy Hospital.
Okay.
It was two little old Polish ladies that owned it, and my girlfriend's husband was a salesman And he would stop in there and get his 1 or 2 pieces of chocolate every day. And they said to him, "Oh, you love it. You should buy our shop because we're thinking of selling it." Well, he wanted to get out of, the salesman thing. And so he went home and said, "Barbara, we're buying, Mary and Susie's chocolate shop." And they did, and they owned it. Oh gosh, it was 1982, and it was well, he passed away 10 years ago. So whatever that time frame
Maybe
is.
26 or
20,
16,
yeah.
16, 7, 15,
And
somewhere.
she did it. She was very creative in all these beautiful little boxes and ribbons. And it was just a little shop there. In fact, he bought the whole building and rented out the other side, but it's tucked in there, I think, just north of Mercy Hospital, if I
Got it.
remember, on Abbott Road, right? Isn't that
Yep.
on Abbott?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And I think it's still there. 2 young girls bought it together.
Awesome.
And yeah, so I was thrilled to have a lady friend that had a chocolate shop.
I would have been too. Yeah. Send it on. I'll
So
taste
that's,
anything you want. Taste tester, whatever you need.
yeah. And they made sponge. Now, I'm not a big
Um,
sponge
we're
fan,
going to
but
talk about that with Mr. Watson.
there you go.
They are specialists at it.
Yeah.
That's a lot of
So
good chocolate stories.
uh,
So thanks for starting us off on such a good.
I love chocolate too. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
So who else would like to give us some chocolate tidbits? Nobody. Colleen?
Well,
Who will? Oh, good. Who have we got? Teresa.
Hi.
Hey, Teresa's from Kentucky, everybody. She works with my son and she works independently reviewing books. She's a great book reviewer. She gave me a beautiful review for The Secret Sand Circle, and I'll be forever in her debt. I should probably send you some chocolate.
So the questions that you're asking are kind of they don't all exactly fit. So I have one funny story about a Texas sheet cake. So I don't know if you've ever had that. So it's like
Oh,
okay. So my mom would put walnuts on top of it. This is when we lived in New Mexico, and a squirrel got in while we were asleep. And you need to understand, we were right up on the bandolier. Like there's nobody around us. We were way out. Anyway, a squirrel got in and ate all the nuts off. And I literally thought that my mom picked the nuts off for me because she knows I don't like them. And I just kept eating. And then I saw the squirrel prints. I saw
and
their little
Oh,
did you continue to eat once you saw the squirrel prints?
I don't think so, but I don't remember. I probably foundered on it by the time that I got there. So there's that. It's probably the craziest like childhood thing,
Yeah, that's a good
about
one.
chocolate. And then the weirdest thing that I think about chocolate is we eat chocolate gravy here.
Chocolate gravy?
Yes, it's kind of like pudding.
And did I
It's
say you're in Kentucky? If I didn't say that up front. So in Kentucky, you eat chocolate gravy that's like pudding. Okay.
It's kind of like pudding, yeah. It's kind of like pudding. And my mom would only make it like once or twice a year. But when my girls were little, every time she saw them, we had chocolate gravy
Do you
for
use it on
breakfast.
meat?
No, you eat it for breakfast. You like put it on waffles, things like that,
Okay.
pancakes. I don't know. You could dip like chicken fingers in it for breakfast. Like if you have chicken and waffles for breakfast, it kind of
Mhm.
goes. I know it sounds really weird, but we eat that. We eat chocolate gravy.
So tell me, is it basically a fudge sauce or is it more like a real like roux with flour and butter
Yeah,
and
it's flour and sugar and chocolate, like the cocoa powder, and you just stir it up. And it depends on what, like who's making it, how thick it gets.
that's crazy. I've never heard that. And I've got a lot of friends in Kentucky. I've never heard about chocolate gravy.
It's probably because we don't want to talk about it and admit that we do that. Like,
Don't want people to know.
because gravy in itself is not good for you, but chocolate gravy is really bad, but it's so good.
Okay, I'm gonna think about that and I'm gonna start looking for a recipe for it and see or if you'll send, do you have a recipe for it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, and we'll share it. We'll put it on the video. We post this as a video on YouTube and we'll put the recipe in the notes.
Okay.
Teresa, do you have a favorite chocolate treat?
I'm with you guys like on the Reese's. I love those, but two things. So I like the eggs because it has more peanut butter. But
Right.
my all-time favorite thing that you only get once a year is and I guess I'm thinking about because it's almost Easter, is that they're like $1 for a dozen eggs. They're like a half egg, and it's a marshmallow dipped in chocolate.
Ugh.
I cannot imagine the amount of preservatives and terribleness that goes into this, but I look forward to it every year. Is a little container. It looks like an egg carton, and it has little marshmallows dipped in chocolate.
I'm a little speechless. Between chocolate gravy and marshmallows dipped. I mean, for me, I don't dip anything in chocolate. Like I will eat it over ice cream, but a lot of people, dip fruit why would you mess up chocolate? Like just enjoy it for what it is. But marshmallows, I mean, my grandkids love s'mores, and that's kind of the same, they just smush it together. So a lot of people love that kind of stuff. I just can't, no, I don't know. Teresa, I'm so glad you're here tonight because this is stuff I never thought of.
Well, we do everything different here. So
Well, thank you for sharing because that
thank
was
you.
very enlightening. And like I said, we'll put your chocolate gravy recipe in the notes of the video on YouTube.
Okay.
And let me know if you want credit. I'm happy to put your contact information there so people can reach out to you. Oh my goodness. Anybody else? I mean, you're a tough act to follow, Teresa, but if anybody else wants to share, we'd be happy to hear it. Kathy, how about you? Kathy, you're on mute. If you could, oh, Kathy Calabrese, unmute yourselves.
Okay, there we go. So I'm not really a big chocolate person.
I know you're not a dessert person, a sweet person at all.
Occasionally, and partly because once I start, I don't stop. I don't have a very good.
I'm testifying with you. I'm testifying with you. Yes.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. But I remember, and last time I was on, I mentioned my grandparents and how important they were. And they lived downstairs. We lived upstairs, they lived downstairs. And so every Friday night, you'd think that we were going to some big party. Every Friday night, my brother and I would go downstairs to see Gracie and Fossey. That's what we called them because they were not Grandma and Grandpa. They were Gracie and Fossey. And we went downstairs and they had Brock's. You probably are going to be sick about this, but Brock's, what is it?
Cream eggs.
No.
Oh, good.
No,
Okay.
no. The Brock's candy mix, and it had like dark chocolate, like chocolate coating, nuts and raisins, and
Kind of like a trail mix.
It's sort of, but it was bigger. It's Brock's, BRACHS.
Yeah.
And so that I loved that, absolutely loved that. And so that was a huge treat. Now, the other thing is, but we did not have a lot of candy and a lot of sweet stuff in the house. But the other thing was Easter baskets. My grandparents went to Parkside Candy.
Oh, wow.
And on Easter Sunday, we found the most beautiful, opulent, luxurious Easter baskets you could ever imagine. And
only candy, Kath, or were there other things in it?
oh, there were other things, including like one year was a little chick that was unfortunately stuffed.
I was going to say real?
No, it was real at one point in time. Anyway, don't ask, but
Okay.
it was the basket was generally, they had these beautiful eggs that you looked inside of it. They were just sugar crystal eggs. Anyway, it was just so special and so beautiful. And we had lots of chocolate in the baskets. I mean, that was great. And I love the little candy eggs. I love those. So the milk chocolate eggs.
Yeah.
But
solid.
that was wonderful. And there was one chocolate dessert that my grandmother made that I still make. And it's very, very simple, but it's basically a chocolate flour mix thing. And then you pour hot, really strong coffee over it. So when it bakes, the coffee it becomes a part of it. And there's like a coffee syrup with the chocolate. Mocha is my favorite flavor.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm crazy about it. And you put ice cream or whipped cream on that, and it is heaven. So,
That sounds amazing. And I'm not a mocha person, but it sounds amazing.
oh, it's just delicious. So it was my grandmother and my grandfather, of course. They created, you
Magic.
know, well,
Chocolate
yes,
magic.
they
Yeah.
did. It was great fun.
One thing about Easter baskets in our house, my first husband, they always cooked and colored eggs. My family never did any of this stuff. So, of course, with our kids, we did that tradition, right? And we always filled their baskets. We put the eggs all around the house, right? Big Easter egg hunt. And I would hide them. And I wouldn't always remember. I didn't count them. I didn't always remember where they were. But if the kids didn't find them all in about 2 weeks, we knew exactly where they were in the house. It was so bad. So
Yeah.
then we learned to start counting how many eggs we needed to have when I hid them. So it wasn't a chocolate story, but it was a good one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kathy. That what most unusual chocolate food that you've tried?
I think when I was in Mexico at one point in time, I did have a mole sauce for the first time, and it was the real deal, and it was delicious.
Was it?
Yes, it was wonderful. But in general, I don't have too many things that are that unusual with chocolate in them.
Chocolate. Okay. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
Lots of good
you're
sharing.
welcome.
Good stories. This
Boring.
is so
Yeah.
fun. Okay. Anyone else want to share? Well, I think that's fine, unless I don't want to leave anybody out, but we are getting towards the time where we need to make our hot fudge sauce. So if somebody wants to share, we can do it now, but otherwise, we're going to be in the kitchen cooking, kind of, sort of. And so it's going to take Colleen and I just a second to kind of move everything around. So be patient. It'll be worth it. We'll be right back. Oh, I never liked this fudge sauce I could buy, so I decided to start making it. And I tried all different kinds of combinations, and I finally came up about 10 years ago with one I really like. So, and when I make it, I usually make it for the holidays. I try not to make the rest of the time because I just keep it on the stove and keep walking by with a spoon and eating it. So this, we just had the High Holy Days. You all saw about that. And so I have a pot that's been on the stove, and it's hard, right? Because it's been sitting out. So I'm going to heat this up while we're making the fudge sauce, because I want you to see the difference that the sauce can be and the different ways you can use it, okay? Not just on putting it on ice cream. So I'm going to try to heat that up on the one side, and then I'm going to make this here, and hopefully we don't burn anything. So my fudge sauce is really easy. Sylvia, I really enjoyed you talking about mixing your kinds of chocolates. You can use any kind of chocolate you want. I suggest using a good, a nice brand. I always use either Hershey's or Nestle's. I have Nestle's here, and I use milk chocolate because I really love the sweetness. Some of my family loves semi-sweet. So depending on who is going to eat this, I'll make it with the chocolate chip that they like best. I always use chips because they melt quicker and it's easier. So this is a regular, you don't have to make the whole bag. Like I said, I like to have leftovers, and I put it on the stove and walk by and eat a spoon every time I walk by. So if there's leftovers, I'm good with that. But I use the whole bag. If you use half the bag, you can just half everything. It's not really complicated. And there's only a couple of ingredients. So these are milk chocolate. This is my favorite fudge pan because, as we old cooks have, it's got the copper on the bottom, right? And it's just a great conductor of heat. But this is the only one I have. It was my mom's, so I'm using aluminum. It's fine. You just have to pay a little more attention when you're putting it on the stove. I'm making sure I've got the right thing here. Hang on. Sorry. I am not in a garden, you can tell. So
Christina,
Yeah.
you don't do it in the microwave at all?
I'm sorry, we're talking about chocolate.
I know.
No, I never melt it in the microwave. I always melt it on the stove.
You
and
have to be
stir.
careful. You can make a real mess, but it's fast if you
Yeah.
watch it. Yeah.
But see this?
Mm-hmm.
This is why I do it this way. I got to get a paper towel. Don't go away. Okay, so while the next thing I add is butter. I use 3 tablespoons with a full bag of chocolate chips. You can figure it out for yourself. Everybody likes their chocolate a certain way, but 3 tablespoons seems to be about the right amount. And then I usually turn it real low and walk away. But because we're trying to do this on a time frame tonight, I'm going to keep stirring and keep letting it melt, and also oh, this one might take a while. I better turn this up. So the only other thing, you can add vanilla, you can add flavoring, you can add mint, you can add anything you want. It's up to you. I don't, because again, I just like chocolate, and so I don't need anything to muck it up. Once you get this melted down, the thing you want to do is add moisture to it so that it thins it out. You can, if you want a really rich, wonderful fudge sauce, you're going to use a heavy cream. You can use milk. You can use 2% milk. You can use 1% milk. I have been desperate enough when I forgot to get the milk that I used water because the chocolate is so rich and the butter makes it even better. So I would advise always using a milk, and we're going to use heavy cream tonight because I wanted Colleen. She's going to test it for us. I wanted her to enjoy it. Not yet. And so, and all you do is just keep stirring until it melts, and then you add in the cream. Now, the trick with the cream is that you just can't exactly tell how much to put in. And so I'm one of those cooks that you hate and see, this is the stuff that's been sitting on the stove. And that's why we're just kind of letting it come apart. And I'm going to add a little cream to it, but not much because I want it to be thick. I want to use it for a dipping sauce tonight. So I'm just going to add a little bit. And the thing about heavy cream is it doesn't take much to get it where you want it. So add just a little bit at a time. And you're probably all accomplished cooks and already know all this stuff, but you never know. So this is what I'm doing. I'm giving you the whole spiel. So you can see the butter and the chocolate chips are starting to finally blend together. And then you start stirring and they really turn into the smooth, decadent looking thing. It's so good. This is when I really start to get excited about fudge sauce. And again, it's milk chocolate, so it's got that beautiful light brown texture as opposed to the dark chocolate fudge sauces. So it just depends on what you like. Just depends on the flavor mix you like. When I put something on ice cream, I like it to be sweet and not, I don't want it to bite me. Like a semi-sweet will kind of come at you, right? And milk chocolate just kind of smooths over. But like I said, some of my family would prefer summer sweet. So it just depends on what you like. All right, we're almost done. You don't want to add any of the cream or the milk until you get the butter is totally dissolved, totally melted in it. And see, it didn't take that long, Sylvia.
No. I have to tell you another favorite thing. And I don't shop too much. Steve usually does. He brought me a half-gallon of coffee ice cream.
Yeah.
So coffee ice cream with maybe, all right, if you want 1 scoop of vanilla and 1 scoop of coffee.
Right. Mix it.
Yeah. You put that in your dish and then you put the chocolate sauce over the top of it. Do you remember?
Okay, come back. Hang on for just a second.
Okay.
So you can see now the butter's completely blended into the chocolate chips. They're melted down. So now I'm going to start adding heavy cream. And I try not to add too much at once because I don't want it to get too thin. And that's the worst thing. You can always add more. You can't take it out. And it's just because the butter and the chocolate together are so rich, sometimes you will get almost a film of fat on the top. And you just have to keep mixing it and stirring it and blending it. Sometimes I even use a whisk. It just depends. It's interesting. If you're a baker, you already know this, Lori Schwab. I know you're nodding your head at me. Depending on the weather, depending on the humidity, the heat, the cool, all those things matter when you're blending fats like this. But you can see it's starting to congeal, which is good. It's starting to blend together. Sometimes that fat, that butter won't blend in with the whipped cream. And I'm sure if I was really a smart baker or had been taught by someone, I would understand why, but I don't. It's just a matter of the fat. So I just keep adding a little bit and blend some more. And I don't want to burn this over here, so hang on. This I added a little bit too. It's still pretty. Oh, that's why I eat it by the spoonful, because it's really tight now. All right, so come back to this. You don't want the heat too high when you start adding the cream because it'll scald it. You know, I've had the heat higher than I usually do because I don't want to spend too much time. But it's coming together. The smell, I wish we had smell-o-vision. Doesn't that smell so good? Colin is over here just like hanging on the wall going, could you just hurry up and finish it and get out the ice cream? So there. When it's not exactly melding together like I wanted, I'll add a little more cream and let it cook the chocolate and the butter together a little bit. But there you go. It's really, right? The butter just makes it so it just drops off. So I don't know that we're going to have enough time for this one. It'll be a little thicker. We're getting there. But we're almost time for Andrew. So we're going to have to maybe let the dipping go and just kind of try the other one. But I'm going to get out the ice cream. Don't go away. This is when a small kitchen is very helpful, right? All right, Colleen's favorite ice cream is mint chip. So we got some mint chip gelato, actually.
Yay.
So she could try it.
Honored.
Glad you're here. Wouldn't do it without you.
Glad to be here.
All right, so here you go. Can we just show them it's boiling now? But stop cooking it. Okay, so it's just a beautiful, beautiful fudge sauce, right? It just comes right off the spatula. And to me, I love a hot sauce over ice cream because it melts the ice cream and it gets all gooey. How much fudge sauce? Are you a big fudge sauce person?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
Perfect.
We're going to have to trade places, I think. You know, spoon, please. I got a big spoon. Do you mind? No, wait, here's the spoon. Here you go. All right, live TV. There we go. Now it's hot, so be careful.
Okay.
I'm going to keep doing on the other sauce. Go ahead and try it.
Okay.
Tell them what it tastes like. Tell them if you like it.
Okay. That's so good.
Is it? What's it taste like? Oh, chocolate. All right, so we're going to just do this instead. So if you want to hold this for just a sec.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when you make this sauce, there are other things you can do with it. One is, where's my cake? Here it is. Yeah. One of the things I like to do, I have friends who send me this beautiful pound cake every year for Christmas. Thanks. And it's a lot of cake. And so I cut it up and put it in the freezer. And then I'll pull it out. And if I really want to have some fun, just drizzle some chocolate over it.
Whoa.
So that's always fun to do. And then, you know, if you're healthy, if you're trying to be healthy, you see, nice apple slice.
Perfect.
I hate mixing fruit and chocolate. This is so good. So that's it. 3 tablespoons of butter, a bag of chocolate chips, whatever flavor you like. Cook it up, add some heavy cream. Wow, it's good. So
Delicious.
now we're going to, is Andrew here? Does he come in? So now we're going to talk to Andrew. And we're going to learn how a family made their way in making chocolate and made a living, which is so interesting. And we're going to talk about sponge candy. And for all of you here tonight, I think you're all local or have been local. I have a box of Watson's chocolate sponge candy. And we're going to talk to Andrew. And is anybody not from Buffalo here?
Sylvia, right?
No, but Sylvia's from here
Teresa.
really. Teresa. Okay. So Teresa,
Born and
for you,
raised.
when we start talking about sponge candy with Andrew, I've got a piece here and I'm going to slice it open so you can see what it is, because you don't know what it is if you have never had it and you're not from Buffalo, because it's only here.
I know what it is.
I know what it is. Anybody from Buffalo knows what it is. All right. So where's Andrew?
Andrew's here. I'm going to remove our spotlight.
Okay.
I'm here. Hello.
Hi,
Andrew, hi. Thanks for joining us tonight. Have you been sitting there watching my fudge sauce?
Thank you. I have for a little bit. It looks delicious.
It is really good. Come over sometime. I'll feed you.
All right.
So,
I
Andrew,
told you we make a pretty good one at Watson's. Not to offer any competition here, but
do you want to tell us your recipe?
I don't even know the recipe.
Okay. So,
I haven't
Andrew,
learned to make that one yet.
so let's just get some basic history and facts down because most all of us here are from Buffalo, so we know Watson's. It's been part of our lives since we were born. But what were the names? You are the fourth generation, right?
Correct.
What were the names of the original founders and who are they to you?
Sure. So that would be my great grandparents. So my great grandfather was Lou and his wife Ellen, and it was also Lou's brother John and his wife Mary. So the
Oh,
four of them started a restaurant in Kenmore in 1946, and they made chocolate at the restaurant. They would borrow things like molds and equipment from other candy makers because they couldn't afford it themselves, and they would borrow it at night, make the candy, return it, clean it, return it for the morning, and then sell the chocolate out of the case at the restaurant during the day. Uh, Chocolate, of course, got pretty popular, so they at one point I think even had a little space next to the restaurant that would open seasonally, mostly around Easter and Valentine's Day. I believe it was my grandfather Jim or James, who had the idea to keep it open at Christmas, which is now our biggest holiday.
wow.
And my grandfather was the one who, in the 80s, he finally split off from the restaurant, left the restaurant with his cousin, and said, "I'm going to just focus on candy and chocolate full time." And he opened up the chocolate store right next door on Delaware Ave in Kenmore, just the storefront over from the restaurant. And then he pretty quickly expanded to a few more stores. He opened the Ellicottville store. It was 40 years ago this past fall. So I guess it
You're
would be
kidding. It's been 40 years
1985.
in Ellicottville. Wow, I had no
That
idea.
was our second store. There was almost nothing there. Holiday Valley was not anything like it is today. People
Right?
thought my grandfather was crazy, and now that is one of our best performing stores by far. Um, and then East Amherst, and they were at the whole time they were making candy right in the back of the Kenmore store, and then eventually the East Amherst store as well. Uh, then we opened one up in Victor, which is,
Which
well,
is by
actually, Personal
Rochester.
Station. Yeah, actually, I guess it's the Victor store now. Before then, it was another suburb of Rochester that I can't quite remember, but not too far. And then now we have 8 stores. So we also have Elmwood Avenue in Buffalo, which is, I can almost see it from my window here. We have Elmwood Avenue. We have Lancaster, Orchard Park, Niagara Falls. And I don't think I've forgotten anyone.
That's great. So tell me, do you make all your own candies?
Yes, we make all the candies right at the factory. So now we have a factory in Tonawanda that opened in the 90s. I want to say early 90s. It was before my time. So we
Wow,
opened
ladies,
up the
how'd that make you feel
factory.
when he just said that, right?
I
Great. Yeah.
was
Way to
99.
go.
Yeah.
So at that point, my great grandmother is still around. I remember my great grandmother Ellen. She was still around. She was still working there. So at one point, when I was real little, my grandfather was running the company. My great grandmother was still there working. My mom Whitney had started working there right out of college, and then I was born. And they had a little nursery, and I would come to work with my mom every day at the factory. And all 4 generations were there for until I was old enough to go off to daycare. But
My
quite a
family moved
while.
to Kenmore in the mid 60s, and we lived on Knowlton, which was one block down from the cross street that came to Watson's, right? And I can remember I would imagine, I don't know that they were your great grandfathers, but they were two brothers.
That would have been my great grandfather and his brother. Yeah.
We knew them. I mean, everybody knew them. You went there because you went there to eat, but then you went there for the chocolate and would buy a box on the way out. And then, like you said, Easter, the side store. And yeah, I mean, they were a part of the fabric of my growing up years. And so that Watson's is still here and that it's not been sold and that it's still family operated is quite remarkable. That's amazing.
We talk about it all the time. There's no pressure from my mom Whitney has been running. She's the owner, president, CEO. She has been running it for over, well, close to 2 decades now. I don't know when the official transition was from my grandfather to her, but she's been there since early 90s, right after she got out of college. So she's been doing it a long time. And We talk about it all the time. There was no pressure for me to come into the business from her. She said
Really?
most family businesses do not make it to 4 generations.
Right.
And
Well, they
we're
say
very lucky that
the
we have.
first ones make the money, the second ones kind of help, and the third ones lose it. Okay. So your family is remarkable in the way they've succeeded and continue to succeed. Do you
Yeah.
ever envision going more across the nation, or are you happy where you are?
I don't know about across the nation, but there's always opportunity to grow. That's things we talk about a lot is, would we open another store? Where would we open another store? We've grown a lot online in the last decade or so. We started with mail order and then that eventually, then phone and then a little bit online. And now, our website does as much as any of our top performing
Really?
retail stores. Yeah, we do a lot of candy and we do a lot of corporate business as well. We do a lot of law firms, financial services, that type of thing will give gifts to their
Well, I
clients.
want you to know this young girl worked for your company for a lot of years.
Yeah.
Where did you work?
I was in Oompa Loompa at the Elmwood location.
It's an Oompa Loompa.
They worked in the Willy Wonka, the chocolate factory.
I understood the reference.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew.
We don't call them that. That's
Yes.
not a Watson's term, but I know I got the
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah, I worked there for 3 years during college. I went to Buff State, lived in the Elmwood Village. So I worked at Watson's with my friend Annie. It was owned by Mike Smith, who is
Mhm.
friends with your grandpa Jim. So I worked there for 3 years. I ate a lot of chocolate. I also was didn't have a lot of money and was in college. So he would let us eat the chocolate, but I walked home from Watson's a lot, not feeling my best because that's all I ate. But no, it was so fun. And it was a happy job because everyone came in mostly celebrating something or wanting a little treat, walking around Elmwood. The only stressful times usually were the holidays, but I'm glad that Christmas is your biggest holiday. But I learned how to write names and frosting on big chocolate hearts. And it was a really fun job, and people could come visit me and hang with me at the shop until I had a customer. So it was a great, great job.
So can I just tell
That was
you what
that was
I
where I
just
first
heard?
worked as well.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Was
But
the almost and it was for Mike Smith actually. So he was my
Yeah.
grandfather's best friend since high
Yeah.
school, and he actually
wow.
owned that store as like a franchise, and
Yeah.
he was my first boss.
Oh my
And then I
gosh.
changed
Wow.
stores.
Yeah, he was one of my first boss. I loved him. I love him and Kathy. We got close. I started house sitting for him too.
Oh,
So
nice.
But you know what we hear in this whole conversation is how your family created a business that has become part of the fabric of people's lives in this community. Colleen worked there, you worked there. I grew up going in there, and all the hundreds and thousands of people that have been impacted by your great grandparents starting this store. It's very cool.
It is absolutely. It's a big legacy to try and take on here. But this is actually we're celebrating our 80th anniversary this year, so we've been doing a lot of kind of reflecting on that and what it means to everybody else because we know of course it's our family business, so of course it means something to us. But to have other people come in and tell us how much it's meant to them for 80 years is really amazing.
You should have those stories recorded somehow because I bet there's some wonderful stories about gifts and chocolates and two quick things. One thing I really admired right away when I went to your website to call you was that your website, when it says contact us and you're used to the phone number and blah, 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 and leave a message, and I might not get it exactly right, but your website says, here's our 800 number, but know when you call us, you will talk to an actual person because we really care.
I didn't even know it says that.
I just love
I'm usually
whoever,
there answering the phones, but
you answered the phone.
it's either me. There's a pretty good chance you get my sister. And if you don't get us, you probably get Polly, the marketing director, or
Yeah, it was great. I got you and I started talking, had no idea I was talking to you, but I knew, you cared enough to say, look, call us and we're going to talk to you because we care. It was wonderful, especially when it's chocolate. All right, so now we have to get to the nitty gritty. Did you start sponge candy? Who started it?
no one knows who started sponge candy. There's other similar candies. In England, they have cinder toffee.
Mhm.
Out in California, they have sea foam. They're all similar. I've never made the others, so I assume the recipe's quite similar. But who actually invented sponge candy? No one's ever really claimed to invent sponge
Well, they're
candy.
Greek.
the Greeks brought it to
The-
Buffalo during the Pan American Exposition.
I've heard that. I've heard more recently, some other companies started claiming that they invented sponge candy, but I don't know. They
Really?
didn't make that claim for the first 100 years, so I would question it a little bit. But um, if you look back at old newspaper clippings, even from the 50s, 60s, and people are saying, "Well, who invented sponge candy?" and the answers are like, "Well, I don't know. We all just I learned it from this guy who learned it from this guy, and and it just keeps going back." But yeah, it was a lot of most of the candy places around Buffalo are Greek. Watsons are Greeks. And my great grandparents learned to make candy from other Greeks in Buffalo, um, mostly down the street. And yeah,
That's so
I
cool.
don't know
Teresa,
who it
are you,
was originally though. No one, no one knows.
well, then you can claim it. That's the rule. Teresa, are you still with us? Oh, no, she left.
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, good. So come, I'm going to show you this. So where are you? I want to, can you come on? Can I see her?
She doesn't have
Good
it.
luck cutting it. You might break it.
No, well, but I want to show you. This is a piece of sponge candy, Watson sponge candy.
Maybe
Okay.
just bite it.
No, because then I have to eat it. Well, God, that might be really terrible. I'm going to cut it. This is what it looks like inside. This is kind of a sponge candy. What would you call it?
It's caramelized molasses and sugar coated in chocolate.
Could you hear that? So, and then you coat it in chocolate. How long? When I was growing up, all the candy stores never made this in the summer because it was humid, and this is very crunchy. I'll take a bite. I don't know if you hear it. Oh, very crunchy. Oh my God, that's so good. And then after you get to the crunch, it just melts in your mouth, Teresa. It is so good. I'll have to get you some. But the thing is, when you made it in the summertime, the humidity would make it hard as a rock. And so we always knew, my mom worked for a candy store, not a candy company. And we would know that once it got to be about June, we wouldn't have sponge candy again until September or October. That doesn't happen anymore, right? Like if you figured it out.
Yeah, I know some people still don't do it in the summer, but I think most of us in Buffalo do make it all year round because there's just the endless demand for it. It's still very hard to make in the summer. Air conditioning has helped, right? Just widespread air conditioning that has made it easier. But we really, really struggle to keep humidity and moisture out. And there's days in the summer where we just won't make it because we said, it's just too humid today. But we have a lot of dehumidifiers in the room that we cut the sponge in, and once it's enrobed in chocolate, it's got a pretty good moisture barrier from the chocolate. So, but we package it differently, even just like moving it from the factory to the stores. We wrap it in plastic bags in the summer to try and keep the humidity out. It's a constant battle. There's unfortunately definitely a lot more waste in the summer because there's stuff that we just can't. It gets gooey and absorbs the moisture out of the air, and the sponge, the same way it melts in your mouth, it just melts
It's
right from the
hard as a
moisture in
rock.
the air.
It's not fun.
Well,
It's
it'll
not
get kind of syrupy, and then it gets so condensed that it gets hard. Yeah.
chewy and not like it should be. So
No.
does anybody have a question for Andrew that they'd like to ask? No, okay. I don't want to miss anybody. All right. So Andrew, we are going to give away this box of sponge candy.
All
You want to
right.
pick the name?
Yes.
Colleen's going to pick the name.
Okay, I put all of your names in here, I promise. And even before I renamed some of you, you were iPhone 56. So I put that in here, but I since have renamed you. Okay, our winner tonight is Karen.
Karen! Yay! Where are you, Karen?
Is she off camera?
Are you not here? Are you still with us?
You have to be here to
You have
win.
to be here to win. Yeah. So let's see.
Karen Bissett.
That's my cousin, Karen. Yay! Karen, I'll get you the sponge candy. Oh, that's so cool. We didn't say family couldn't win, so it's good. All
It's
right.
fair.
It's wonderful.
Watson's is a family business.
That's
we're
right.
a
So family
business.
fun, that makes it good. Andrew, thank you so much for joining us tonight and telling us about your family. And please tell your family how much we all appreciate them being here in this community and giving people jobs over and above giving us some of the most delicious candy we've ever enjoyed. And Easter, tell us about Easter a little bit. I know it's not your biggest season anymore, but when do you start? And
It's not anymore, but we have more products for Easter than any other time. We have been making bunnies since before Valentine's Day, trying to keep up. And we've got every shape and size of rabbit, bear, frog, fish, shark, giraffe. I mean, anything monkey, anything you can think of, we've got it, and we've got it in chocolate. We even have a big boy. We'll be raffling off a big rabbit. He's 15 pounds of chocolate. He's like 4 feet tall. $400 worth of chocolate or so, and we'll be raffling it off at all of our stores. So
Do you like
shop with our
chocolate, Andrew?
freezer, put your name in.
Do
Sorry,
you do you like chocolate?
I eat it every day. Actually, today was the first day in months that I have not had a piece. I was really, really trying.
Yeah, okay, I get that. So one last question. What's something about Watson's as a store, as a family-owned business that you would like to share that people might not know?
The people I think one thing that I always like to remind people is that I think there's a lot of people who know sponge candy, and it's a big part of, it's 40% of our sales, but it's one of like 200 things that we make. So there's so many other good things that we make that, the sponge candy is delicious, don't get me wrong, but, our caramels are amazing. Our turtles, we have all different flavors of turtles with cashews, pecans, pretzels, almonds. There's just, Charlie Chaplin's one of my favorites. It's an old school candy of
Marshmallows,
cashew,
right?
marshmallow, coconut, all done in chocolate. And like Charlie Chaplin and a lot of our other things, it's all still made by hand. Like cut the sponge by hand. All the clusters, or a lot of the clusters, the bark, they're hand dipped. And if not, everything. I think there's like 7 or 8 people that have to move a piece of sponge candy before it makes it into your box. There's that many eyes that have been on it to make sure that it is good and meets our standards. And we try very hard to make sure that every piece of candy that gets to you is as best as it can possibly be.
Um, who decides each year? Do you sit down, look at all the products you make, look at how they sold, and then decide, no, we're not going to make this anymore, or let's try something new? Like, how do you make that transition and who decides?
It's not nearly that organized. Some things just get forgotten about. Some things just don't sell as well anymore. Like you had mentioned, chocolate covered fruits. Fruits used to be so much more popular, and we've really trimmed it down to just a couple. It's almost like we might have to go back to making more fruits because we need them for assortments, but we don't actually. No, no, people very rarely come in and say, "Ah, I really want that chocolate covered dates." Like we've stopped making those pretty much entirely. I don't think we've made them in years. So sometimes things just were like, you know what? No one's ordering them. Why? Let's not even make a batch. And then sometimes we add stuff, but usually, sometimes they're test batches, and if they sell well, we'll make more. The Loganberry creams last summer were very popular, so we've been